And I think that's what circle is for me too. And then that's what my medicine is the medicine that then I can bring to my circle of just this willingness to sit in the storm and let it rage. Not without fear, but with also like the sense of inner peace that the storm won't last forever and that it's like I am safe. And so then when things happen in circle, which they do, I am just able to remind myself, like, this is not something to fix or change. This is, a storm, and the storm will pass, and that we are rooted. And so we are, we can be flexible inside of the storm too.
Welcome to the Brave Woman Podcast. I'm your host, Tanya Lynn, founder of Sistership Circle and author of Open Your Heart and The Art of Leading Circle. I'm the mother of 2 girls, an 8 on the Enneagram, aka the Challenger, happily married to my business partner, Brent, love connecting with nature, and have put in well over 10,000 hours circling with other women. On this podcast, we will explore how to embody the brave woman so that you can take action on your dreams and desires, unapologetically speak your truth, and live life on your own terms. Grab a seat and a cup of tea, and let's get started. Well, I am with 3 of my favorite sisters right now. Wow, I feel so honored to bring these 3 beauties to the spotlight today of the Brave Woman podcast. And we are missing a 4th, and maybe she'll pop on, so we'll see and weave her in if she does. But here we have our beautiful trainers for How to Lead Circle. And these women have gone through the initiation from How to Lead Circle into Business of Circle, Mastery of Circle, and now are trainers and have had quite extraordinary journeys. And what I love about these women so much is their embodiment of the circle distinctions of the work. Like, these women are real deal, and like, you can trust that they are going to give it to you straight. They're really rooted in truth and wisdom, and just their presence alone is so powerful. They are true, extraordinary master facilitators and space holders. So welcome to Lynn, Charlene, and Belle. And I'm going to have each of them introduce themselves and share a little bit about the journey that they have been on and what has brought them here to this place of being a trainer, and also just like what you do in the world in addition to training women in our How to Lead Circle program. So let's start with our most senior trainer. Charlene has been with us the longest. She was actually in the very first How to Lead Circle program back in 2016, is still here rocking it out. So yeah, Charlene, why don't you share your journey of becoming a trainer? Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Tanya. And what a journey it has been. So it all started through my desire to sit in a space that just felt sacred, it felt real. It was beyond the kind of superficial. I just wanted something raw, and like I could really get into a space where I could bring all of my stuff and all parts of me and then hold that space for others as well. I was deeply craving that. I just was quite new to motherhood, and I did some circle training and it wasn't enough. And then I Googled, I think I actually Googled How to Lead Circle or these terms, and I found Sistership Circle and I signed up, and it was just like the most incredible training. And I really loved, by the end of it, I felt so competent and so ready to go out there and be leading circles. And then my circles really took off, and my circles started off small, a couple of women, and then I grew this sisterhood to 20 women every month coming. Sometimes I would even have to turn women away because there wasn't enough space for them to come in the space that I was facilitating. And then my journey with Sistership Circle, I was lucky enough to come on the team and be the first trainer, which was incredible. And then just, developing myself, watching Sistership Circle grow as well. It's just been such an incredible journey. And I feel like one of the biggest blessings in my life, for myself as a woman, for myself, like professionally as well, just seeing how I've grown, watching Sistership Circle grow, watching all of the women who come into Sistership Circle grow as well. It just really lights me up. And yeah, it feels like the greatest blessing.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. And who was our next trainer? Were you guys at the same time, Lynn and Belle, huh? Did you come in at the same time?
We were in the same mastery class.
Yeah, I think you come in at the same time. All right, so let's go with our wise woman, Lynn. Share with us your journey.
Oh, wow. No, well, it's so funny because my story is almost like Charlene's. I was Googling rituals. I wanted to learn how to create rituals for circles that I was already having. And I wanted to learn how to create my own rituals. And I came across How to Lead Circle. And long story short, I got into Charlene's Circle. And I missed the first class. But anyway, it had such a powerful impact on me that first of all, back up. I'm searching the site and I'm like, I want to be a trainer. Well, what do you mean I have to go through all the steps? Okay, fine, whatever. So I signed up and I got into Charlene's class, and it had that was in 2019, 19. Anyway, she had such an impact on me that I was hungry for more. I wanted to learn. Always want to learn more when I'm fascinated about something. And being a healer, and as a child, I wanted to be a teacher. And so I learned how to redefine the word teacher through this process of circling. And Charlene, you had such an impact on my life. Like, I think back right now and I think about how much people can change. I have changed. I mean, I'm coming up on 59 in a couple of weeks, and I never imagined the powerful impact that I would have on my life right now. And I am lit up by being a trainer. Knowing that I can support and to hold other women in the way that I do feeds a hunger inside of me. And Sistership Circle did that. Circling did that for me. But learning how to properly hold that space. I learned how to be brave, to stand in my brave. The biggest lesson for me was how to be vulnerable. And how to just, as you know, Tanya, let go and speak, because I grew up, you weren't allowed to speak unless you were spoken to. And so that was very hard for me. And when I learned to just open up, and I learned as a wise woman that the wise woman, if we tell you something about ourselves, it's not because we want you to feel sorry for us. It's because we want you to know who we are and where we came from. And that is wisdom. And that is the greatest wisdom that we can have in Circle, is to know that our greatest strengths come from what we think are our weaknesses. And so when you can turn those weaknesses into strengths and learn to be vulnerable and learn to talk about it, you can heal that divine feminine within you and rise in your power. And it's beautiful because we have all stages. We have the maiden, the mother, and the crone here today. And we are all, embracing that divine feminine within us. And Circle has done that for me in such a powerful way that I this is my path. This is my purpose. This is what makes me so happy. And I'm lit. I'm on fire when I know that I am empowering somebody else in my life.
And I just want to reflect that as someone who could not speak unless spoken to, the power and conviction in your voice now is the power of Circle. Like that is the way in which you, every single word, like we can feel as you're speaking, like there's a really deep self-confidence and self-worth that you now embody that you did not embody when you started, which is amazing to witness.
Not at all.
Not at all. Yeah. Woo! All right. And Miss Belle, share your journey with us.
Okay. So I would say my journey started when I was a little girl because I have been circling since then. I have loved gathering specifically females in intimate conversation. And so then when I became a mother, I realized how isolated women, specifically moms, are. And I knew that I was being called to create a circle for moms. And so I did. And it was sloppy because I didn't really know what I was doing. I was good at the gathering and the intimacy, but there was a masculine piece that I didn't have the skill around. And so I did the same thing Charlene did and Lynn did. I went to Google and I asked, how do I do this thing? Like I wanted the how. And I got it. So how to lead circle literally took me step by step through the masculine piece of how do I do it? And I just was so excited about that. And then what I realized was my circles no longer were sloppy because I had this container and I learned the skill. But what I was so excited to experience was that the depth just got deeper. So that the feminine emotional piece got deeper because when we are held by the masculine, the feminine just begins to flourish and grow. And so now I have a super successful business leading women, specifically moms, and I have the skill of containing the circle with safety and we have a vision for where we're going, but then there's also this permission to kind of unfurl because of this skill that I learned of safety. So that's been my arc of my journey.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. One of the things that we do when we meet is we talk about the connection between life and circle and that there really is no separation. And we look for the medicine. We look for the medicine in circle, and we also look for the medicine of like, what's going on in my life right now and how can that be medicine for the women in the circle? So I want to bring that because this is what we do best. is when we have our trainer calls, we're always looking for this and we're always really getting the gold and getting the lessons and bringing that to the circles. So for each of you, what feels like the medicine in your life right now? Who wants to go first? Let me just popcorn.
I can go. I'm feeling like right now, my medicine is fully owning, fully allowing, and fully being seen in my sexual energy and trusting that, trusting pleasure, trusting the more I get visible as well. It's like the more it's being stirred and things are coming to the surface. So I'm in this place of really learning about it. And it seems so strange to say that because I'm almost 42 and it's like, whoa, get to 42 and then suddenly I'm like, yeah, really connecting to my sexual energy. But that's been my journey. And I feel like I'm getting to a place where I'm just ready to be like, oh, here I am and here is all of me. And that's been a journey in itself. But I'm feeling like my medicine right now is to lean into that and to see where it's going to take me. Yeah.
Yes, Darlene. What else? What else feels like the medicine, ladies?
I can't after that.
Yeah.
I love hearing you say that. Just you saying that, like, kind of unlocks something in me of like you mirroring that aspect of me where I'm also stepping into my 42nd year. I didn't know that we shared that in common. That's awesome.
Cool.
And I'm starting to feel that like wild woman emerge more myself. I'm almost like coming out of like another shell, peeling back the layers. And for me, I said this kind of before we started recording, but I am sitting here in beautiful Santa Barbara, California, and it's usually sunny and bright, which is kind of the way I think I am often perceived, sunny and bright. And yet I look out this window and the storm is raging. There is like a literal blizzard warning. And it is mirroring something in my own life where there is just so much chaos and upheaval. And what I feel is it's also an up leveling for me because I am learning to not push down the storm, but to just kind of let it rage and let it do it, have its transformational process on me, but to not get caught up in it. And I think that's what circle is for me too. And then that's what my medicine is the medicine that then I can bring to my circle of just this willingness to sit in the storm and let it rage. Not without fear, but with also like the sense of inner peace that the storm won't last forever and that it's like I am safe even when it feels scary, like it feels physically scary to have this storm and it's impacting the choices I make to like stay inside and all that. And yet ultimately, like I am still safe. And so then when things happen in circle, which they do, I am just able to remind myself, like, this is not something to fix or change. This is, a storm and the storm will pass and that we are rooted. And so we are, we can be flexible inside of the storm too. So I think that's kind of what I am learning. And that's my medicine currently in my personal life and then in my life as a circle facilitator.
Beautiful. And Lynn.
Okay, so for me, I'm sitting here and I'm listening and I'm thinking, wow, for me right now, it's the leaning in. It's the power of leaning into circle and just saying, hey, I need to be held right now. I need to be seen for all my perfect imperfections and just to be loved. Because I still fall back into that. I wrote a post today in my Facebook and it's really interesting because it's like, I've always gone into flight and I'm trying to hold that space of not fleeing, of saying, this is me. This is perfect. This is what I need. This is leaning in to the chaos and saying, okay, it's like I'm sitting in the middle of that storm, the calm and the calmness in the center and knowing that the chaos is all around me. And where do I land? And circle is that safe place where I can land, where I can say, this is what's going on. And I don't know which way to turn. And can you just hold me? I mean, I'm a hugger. In real life, I'm a hugger. I will hug you to death. And I don't know if you want to meet me because I just want to hug you to death, right? Because I'm a hugger. And for me, it's like I try to hug. I want to hug all the pieces back together. And what I'm learning is that it's okay to just fall apart. And I'm getting a vision of a skeleton just breaking down and falling apart, and then just picking themselves up and coming back into and saying, you know what, this is okay. And I feel like circle is the medicine for me to say, this is okay. This is where I feel safe. This is where I can be true. This is where I can just be my true authentic self and no holds barred, let it all out, because I know my sisters have my back. They will hold me and they will support me. And when I'm feeling really good and I'm in that great space, I know that I am in the position to do that for somebody else and just say, you're okay. And I am here for you now, because that's what sistership to me is all about. That I am here for you. You are here for me. We don't judge each other. We just are women, and we are just divine, and we are just perfect in all of our imperfections, and we hold each other. We love each other. We have that sacred space. And that is the lesson for me, because I do tend to hide. And so it's that sacred space. And sometimes I feel like I'm like right now, like I feel like I'm crawling back into that sacred space. And it's like, okay, I'm here. But I feel like I want to be the one sitting in the corner. In the past, as a little girl, that was me. The one in the corner, the one in the back of the classroom. But I don't want to be that person anymore. Circle has allowed me to say, hey, you know what? It's okay to ask for love and support on whatever level we need it.
Yeah, and you have a seat at the table, not in the corner of the room. Yes.
No longer in the corner.
No, not in the corner. I had a circle just a couple hours ago. We've created a local circle here that's just been incredible. And two of us brought some anger today, and it was really, really powerful to just have that anger just be witnessed, be validated. And one thing that I've been dealing with myself lately is, what is the difference between accepting and tolerating? So like accepting feelings, accepting someone for the way they are, accepting life as it is, and then like a tolerating of behavior, tolerating, boundaries being crossed. And so like, what is the subtle difference between these two energies? And what I found is when I get angry, it's typically because a boundary has been crossed. And like, where can I really stand strongly in that boundary? And really trust myself and my intuition. And this has come up. I mean, this is the whole thing around holding the container and holding the agreements of the circle. And as something that has really, and I'm seeing this actually right now, I'm seeing the tie here as we're stepping into the next How to Lead circle. And we have an agreement that women come into the program with. And there's just no tolerance if you don't agree to the agreements. So yeah, there's just and there's just a loving, healthy way in holding that, right? Versus like where we might be tolerating, and that comes from like people pleasing. So yeah, just like really standing in a strength around that, and holding the line of the container feels really, really up for me right now. And of course, that's the medicine as we're stepping into the next How to Lead Circle container.
Do you want an awesome community of women around you, supporting your dreams, cheering you on, and having meaningful conversations? How would that feel to be surrounded by like-minded spiritual women who want to make a difference in the world just like you? What are you waiting for? Sister, sometimes you have to take things into your own hands and make it happen. If you are that type of woman, then becoming a women's circle leader is for you. It's one of the most fulfilling things you can do right now. I'm hosting a one-day virtual training to help women like you rise into your leadership and step into leading women's circles as a way of creating the community of your dreams. This is an interactive and experiential event with 5 parts. First, you'll learn the 9 pillars of the How to Lead Circle blueprint, a step-by-step process to start your first circle and consistently run monthly circles. Next, you're gonna sit in a breakout circle so you can experience how we do circle at Sistership Circle. You'll make new sister connections as you share with potent question prompts and get vulnerable together. Then you're gonna discover your divine feminine leadership archetype and how to cultivate your superpowers so you lead from your unique strengths. Next, you'll learn exactly how to start your first circle in less than 90 days. And finally, you'll know how to overcome any challenges that arise, and specifically the top 4 fears that come up for every circle leader, so you feel empowered to take inspired, imperfect action. So if you're ready to create a transformational women's circle that develops real, meaningful sisterhood, and get the tips, tools, and techniques to create a circle that's safe, sacred, and sold out, then join us for this experiential and embodied event. Go ahead and click the link to grab your ticket today.
So one of the things that we do in Circle is heal the feminine. And I love to pose this to our next group question around what does that mean to you, and how has that actually shown up for you? So when you think about healing the feminine and healing your feminine, what's the first thing that kind of comes to mind, the piece that you've been, and this could be a work in progress, of course, but that you've healed for yourself?
I can go. I want to also comment on what you were just saying about the boundaries piece too, Tanya, because boundaries are something that are up in my life too. And I think it relates to this other question, because what I'm learning is that a boundary isn't some way that you control what other people are doing. Like, a boundary is only about me and what I'm willing or not willing to do. And I was confused because I, in the past, thought that a boundary was my way of making someone do what I wanted them to do. But for me, healing the feminine is about remembering that I am in my own sovereignty and the other person is in their own sovereignty. And just because I set a boundary doesn't mean that they adhere to the boundary. And so for me, a boundary requires a consequence, and that is hard for me because I have to, 1, be clear about what the consequence is, and then 2, be willing to uphold the consequence. And for me, this mostly comes up with my children, is like, I'll say, no dessert if you don't do your homework first. But then I want to have dessert too. So I want them, so then I don't uphold whatever it is, So boundary can't necessarily be my way of controlling them. My boundary is I'm speaking where I begin and end, and then if you pass that boundary, then there's a consequence. And so for me, like stepping into my feminine power has really been learning the actual definition of a boundary and then holding it even when it hurts, because sometimes it hurts. And I think that is what is causing this storm, actually, for me, this like inner storm, not the outer storm in Santa Barbara, but this inner storm of like, I don't want to set the boundary because I want everything to just be sunny and happy. But if I don't set the boundary, then the safety in our relationship isn't intact and something is broken. And then if I don't talk about it, then the crack gets bigger and bigger. But setting the boundary, even though it's hard, it actually creates a more deepening in our relationship because it says like, no. And that is not easy for, I think, a lot of women, not just me, but it's my up-leveling too.
Yeah, for sure. And it's queen energy. It's like healing that queen, like not being the ice queen, but coming from the heart and being able to set those boundaries, loving boundaries. Yeah.
I'm feeling that whole thing around boundaries too, because boundaries and priorities, like where's the line? For me right now, it's around my family. My daughter has, she's never had surgery, so her body's going through some very trauma in her life, and it's reflecting back on my life and what I want to do for me, but the priority is the boundary comes first. Like, not the boundary, but the priority for me is putting the family first. But where do I draw that boundary to put me first and what I need and what I want and what I'm longing for? And that comes into play in circle, where I get to just let go of the outside world and step into my power as a woman. Not as a mother, not as a grandma, not as, an employee or anything, but to just step into that space. But then when a boundary pulls me out of that, or not a boundary, but a priority, family priority, has been pulling me deeply out of that. And I'm starting to feel a little resentful. And I don't like that feeling. So this is where I learn, like I said before, into the leaning in. Like I've pulled back from all of these really deep conversations, and I just I just don't have the energy for it. But it's like, okay, Lynn, you got to lean in. You got to lean into these people who will listen to you and love you unconditionally and will hold you. And so where is that boundary? I've lost that boundary. And as you know, Tanya, in our business of circle, the big thing that came up for me was boundaries, but it was boundaries with clients, because I like to give. I like to give. And now I am starting to feel, oh my God, what about somebody giving to me? What about somebody holding that space for me or doing something for me? Wait a second. Are you asking? Are you asking for help? Are you asking for somebody to just hold you? Let's think about this for a minute, right? If you're not asking, you're not getting.
Yeah, and gosh, healing the feminine. I could spend lifetimes speaking about this and sharing. I feel like my own healing journey really began it was in a macrobiotic consultation, and the counselor, she said to me at the time, so many of your issues, they all go back to your mother, your relationship with your mother. And I didn't like hearing that at the time. I wasn't ready to hear it. I didn't like her. I was like, don't say that. You're talking about my mom. I couldn't fully hear what she was saying and I couldn't accept it. And then I had my first child and I didn't have the language at the time, but what was happening for me was this surfacing of my own mother wound, like the deepest wounding to the feminine. And then it's been through my journey of being in circles, expanding as a feminine leader, where I've developed my understanding of the feminine and recognized this line, this lineage, the tracing back of where it comes from, and looking at the healing of the feminine, not only from my mother, but the wounded feminine in my father as well, and tracing back his lineage too. And it's just been so powerful to have this insight, to have this language, to have this deepening and understanding. And it's so much about the work that I do and I stand for now, which is all about, as a nourishment educator, I'm all around like nourishment and nutrition and feminine nutrition. And it comes back to receiving. Like, how am I as a woman receiving? How am I blocking that receiving? And then having this understanding, awareness, the tools to be able to recognize it in other women as well, and to support them in their healing and transformation. And it's all about us coming back to the divine feminine. You know, we've lived in the collective in this world of patriarchy for so long, where the feminine has been suppressed and repressed and hurt and all these things. And it's not just the feminine in women, but the feminine in men and in all of life. And so, yeah, I feel just so grateful. I can't even put into words the gratitude that I feel to have this awareness right now of, okay, let's move out of the shadow lands of the feminine and come back into divine feminine. And not just, you know, it's like not just in myself, but other women and in all of life as well. Because I just see the wounded feminine showing up in so many ways. Even Mother Earth, even these storms, right? It's Mother Earth saying, hey, you know, there's this wounding going on. I need to come back into balance. And this is what I see we're all seeking right now, is to come back into divine feminine, which means that we also honor and revere the divine masculine. And it's like the divine masculine is in worship of the feminine, and the feminine is in devotion to the masculine. And this is what I feel like I'm really learning as a circle facilitator and as a trainer as well, because, you know, and this is what I love about Tanya and Sistership Circle, is this grounding of both of them. It's not just working on the feminine, we have to work with the masculine as well. And this for me is what divine feminine, healing the feminine is all about. It's not about one or the other, it's both working in harmony, and yeah, really trusting that and being in the unfolding of that.
Yeah, I'd love for us to dive into this topic of receiving, because this feels like such a big one. So I'm so glad you brought this up, Charlene, and maybe we could do another round on this topic. Because I feel like so much of the time women come into the circle. I don't know how many times I've heard this, that it's, what am I going to give? Or I don't feel like I can give it my all to the circle, and so therefore, like, take me out. When actually it is this balance between giving and receiving. And where we are most out of balance is in receiving as women. We're really good at overgiving. We're really good at being nurturers and caretakers, but when it comes to receiving, yeah, we're not so good. So yeah, maybe we can share a little bit on how this is what we've learned, or how we've expanded our capacity to receive through Circle. I mean, I'll start with just sharing that as the facilitator, me learning, number one, to take up space, to take my share, to not exclude myself if there's a ritual or an activity or sharing. But the first, like, the big thing that's coming to my mind is when I have been down and out in some way, and I've asked the circle to put their hands on me so I can receive all their loving touch and all their energy to fill me up and nourish me when I was just, done, collapsed, just I've got nothing left. And to not feel guilty about that, like because I'm the facilitator, like how dare I lay in the middle of the circle and ask everyone to give me healing energy, but to really claim that space and to claim my need, I think has been one of the most powerful things for me around receiving with Circle. What about you, Belle?
What comes up for me right now is listening, and how listening is something that we give. Like, when you were just talking, Tanya, I was giving you my listening, but it's also such a gift that we receive when we receive listening too, when we know that like we have a safe place and the person or the people are just going to listen. They're not going to fix us. They're not going to change us. They're not going to coach us. To receive that is such a beautiful gift. And that, just like you were saying, as the facilitator, I am part of the circle. So I am not like standing on the stage, and you really taught me that too. So I am facilitating, but I am also participating in the circle. And so I get to receive that listening. And in doing so, I'm really modeling vulnerability. So it's like both. When I'm listening, it's both a give and a receive too. So that's what comes up to me with like sometimes these like feminine and masculine qualities are just like where I'm coming from, like the place I'm coming from, rather than making the activity being any different,
Yeah. Thank you for that. Really powerful distinction. Charlene, you want anything else come to mind for you?
I feel like my biggest receiving wound, because I think there are wounds that we all have around receiving, and I think that there's different aspects of receiving. And I feel for me, it's this trusting in the receiving, that it's not going to be harmful, that it is not going to hurt me in any way, and holding that space for others, because my own experience of receiving through my childhood was that any receiving often was painful. And so when I'm in circle, just receiving attention when it comes to my turn to share, receiving the love, the space, the love that's in the space and the circle is just so huge. Like opening my heart to receiving that is massive. And then holding that space for women to receive whatever they need to receive, because we all have our own receiving wounds and we all need to receive something like, the flavor of it is slightly different. So, and yeah, as both of you shared this part of, as a circle facilitator, just how much I have received from being a feminine leader, a circle facilitator. And this is what has been the beauty of feminine leadership. It's not being in this place of, I'm here, there's a block, there's a wall here, and I'm standing behind the wall. It's like, I'm in it with you all, and we're all receiving together. We're all receiving the medicine that comes up in the space. We're all receiving the exact medicine we need at that time. So yeah, I receiving is so huge. I love this theme as well. Yeah.
So good. Yeah. So the other piece is, how has this path, this journey, impacted you with your visibility in the world?
Yeah, I can start with that, because I really feel like it's so tied in to my receiving and feeling safe to receive, trusting that I'm good, I'm safe to receive, and receiving pleasure, receiving joy, and all the goodness as well. And I feel like for me, it's also really about claiming myself as a change maker and becoming visible in that and making a stand for that. Like, I'm here, my life matters. What I have been through matters and can be medicine for others. And also breaking a cycle of the wounding that's been passed on for generations through my own lineage. And so the visibility piece is really allowing me, and if I link that into being a change maker, it gives my visibility a whole new level of meaning and a whole new level of like oomph and power behind it that just makes me go, you know what, even though it's so hard for me to be visible and it's really not easy in my body, so my nervous system gets so activated when I am visible to the point of like I'm sweating, and even now I can feel sweat dripping down my body. And it's been such a process, such a journey. It's been so difficult for me to be visible and to be vulnerable in that. And yeah, it's this piece around claiming the vulnerability as well. And it's a journey. It's an unfolding, and I'm still in that. I don't know if it ever ends. You know, the peeling of the onion, the different layers that we all have. But yeah, I think that's what I'd like to share. I'll stop there with that. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Belle or Lynn?
Oh, so yeah, for me last year, my word was visibility. And and the lesson I learned last year, my intention for what I set for visibility did not come to fruition as it should have been. So I learned in Circle that visibility is not necessarily about putting your face forward as much as it is about putting yourself forward. And so in the world, in life, and in everything around me, it's how I stand in my power. Like for me, visibility at the beginning of 2022 was, I'm going to do more live feeds. I'm going to learn how to do TikTok. I'm going to learn how to put my face out there. And at the end of the year, when I did some reflection, I thought, well, I never did any of that. And a sister said to me, but you were visible in so many other ways. And I thought, wow, like visibility is not actually about how we put our face out there, but how we put our energy out there, how we how we put our message into the world, in showing others how to rise up in their divine feminine, how to stand in their power, how to be true to themselves, how to love themselves. And you can be visible by standing in that divine feminine power. And I learned that in Circle, and it's just like, oh yeah, I know that. But
yeah,
life's lessons or life mirrors us to kind of go like what's happening here? And you look at, if you're willing to look in the mirror of life and go, yeah, I get it. I see what's happening. Then we can take a step back and go, yeah, this is good. This was my intention.
Yeah.
And just
Beautiful.
let go and let the universe take that intention and let it come to fruition. It's powerful, powerful medicine.
So powerful. Oh, so good, Lynn. And it's like we confuse visibility with social media. Social media is not the only way to get visible out there in the world, right? But in our modern day age, like that's what we think visibility means, but it's not. So thank you for that distinction. Belle, you want to wrap us up on this question, and then we're going to close the container here?
I'm realizing I have parts. I have different parts in me that have different preferences around visibility. So Charlene, as you started talking, I felt my little girl came running to the center stage and was like, no, I don't want to talk about visibility. She just like, no, I don't like it. They used to make me dance, on the stage with my cousins at Christmas, and I hated it every time, and I don't want to be visible. And then there's this other part of me, and she's like, hear me roar. This is my message. It deserves to be heard and seen. So I'm just like realizing visibility feels complicated to me, and there's layers to it. And it also reminds me, like, I get to choose which archetype or which part I want to like invite forward. And that may change. That is like a cyclical process for me. So I'm not always one archetype. They kind of like cycle through me.
Yeah. And that's circle. Like all parts are accepted, right? All parts are good. Yeah. Thank you. Beautiful. Well, thank you, ladies, for being here and just sharing your medicine. I am just so grateful. And I want us to just end with my question that I always ask at the end, which is, what does it mean to be a brave woman?
For me, it means to stand in my power and be my true, authentic self. Honor myself, honor my wisdom, honor my spirit, and honor my ancestors so that I can move forward in my true, authentic, divine feminine power, and to stand and rise and help others.
For me, being brave means being impeccable with my word and doing my best in every moment, and knowing that other people are doing their best as well. And that sometimes that doesn't feel like it's good enough, but being brave to continue to do my best in that moment.
Oh, I love this question. I feel like for me, being a brave woman means to really listen, and to listen to this voice that feels like it's always calling me and moving me forwards into my next evolution, and to trust. There's an element of trust, and the trust comes into the discomfort, because I feel like embodying the brave woman means that we must face the uncomfortable and the discomforts that ultimately arise through moving forwards in our lives and listening to that voice. So yeah, I'd say like the listening, the trust, the being willing to face the discomfort and trusting that on the other side of that is the springboard to your next evolution, because it never stops. It never stops. So it's this willingness to always listen to, the next level we get to. It's like, what am I listening for? Am I truly listening? And can I then trust that I'm expanding and going forwards? Yeah.
Thank you, sisters. And if you're feeling inspired, the next How to Lead Circle round starts first week of April. Registration will open on March 17th. And we hope to have you if you're feeling called to step into your circle facilitation.
You just listened to this show. I'd love for you to leave the Brave Woman podcast an honest review. Reviews help podcasts like this one grow, making it more possible for me to devote my time, energy, and money to its production. If you take a screenshot of your review and email it to support@sistershipcircle.com, we'll send you one of our archetype activations as a thank you gift. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it.